I saw that you were right there. Conor Bradley obviously went down injured. Martin later trying to roll him off the pitch. What did you make of that? Did that anger you as Liverpool players?
I see that Conor twisted his knee. I don't know what is going on with him. And obviously he didn't want to come back to the pitch for to make it time wasting or something. He just had so much pain that he couldn't even think where he rolled. And then you come there to push him off the pitch. I understand that you want to win. We want to win as well. But I think the health of a player is much more important than something else.
Today, match winner, of course, back in August. Liverpool are only the second team all season to come here to the Emirates and stop Arsenal winning in the Premier League. Now, they didn't have a shot on target. The first time that's happened for Liverpool in the Premier League for 16 years. However, when you listen to what Dominic Szoboszlai is saying, is it a step forward? Is it proof again, without some big hitters, that they can compete with the league leaders?
It absolutely is. I mean, first half was definitely Arsenal's on points. Liverpool reversed that in the second half. OK, Arsenal had a late flurry, but Liverpool were the better team in the second half. And I said before the game, when you're champions, when you're great players like they've got, and even though they're underperforming a little bit this season, when you're playing against other great players, when you come to a stage like this, you've got something about you that says we're not going to get embarrassed, that we're not going to get beaten by these today. And the performances of the likes of Konate, Van Dijk, etc., was that of champions, I think. Listen, even if you're the best team in the world coming to the Emirates, a draw is always a good. It's hard to go away from home. It's hard to play against a top team, and I don't care whether you're in flying form or if you're struggling for a result. That's a really good performance from Liverpool.
What percentage of that was credit Liverpool, and what percentage maybe was Arsenal not quite firing on all cylinders?
I think you have to credit Liverpool for their second half performance, but I think for the first half performance, I thought we created enough chances and got the ball in the box on occasions where you have to take those opportunities, because that you're not going to get too many more that we saw in the second half. And I think Liverpool in the second half, they realised, let's keep the ball, let's see what we can do, let's hit them on the break. I think Liverpool had the better chances. But again, I think it's another one for Arsenal to learn about at this stage of the season. I'm quite pleased that in the end they managed it to get a point rather than not get anything, because they're still in pole position. That was a tough game in the second half, simply because I think that you have to be more ruthless in the first half about the chances what you're creating to take, because chances, they change games. And if they score them chances, they don't get nervous in the second half, they don't drop off a bit, they don't give Liverpool the time that they had, they would go for them a little bit more. And I think that's what happened. You have to take those chances what you create in the first half to finish teams off. You've got to be ruthless. And if you don't, the club like Liverpool and a team like Liverpool, they'll bite you.
And in terms of chances, was that just what was missing from Liverpool today? You heard Dominic Szoboszlai say he had a few shots there. They didn't have, like I say, one on target in the whole game. It's just that final ball, that lacking that little bit of quality at times.
It was, and it's understandable when you look at, the types of player that are missing. The Mo Salahs, the Isaks, the Ekitiké's. A couple of players, Frimpong, for example, getting in really good positions and just not having that end product. A couple of easy balls, actually. But as we were saying, the closer to the goal you get, the harder it gets, and that's where you start having to make the difference. Let's say lots of players can do frilly skills outside the box and around the halfway line, but as soon as the final ball, the final finish, that's the most important thing in football. Liverpool just lacked that a little bit, but as I say, a fair excuse when you've got all those players that are missing. But overall, I think Arne Slot will be pleased with the performance.
Just on your point about the contrasting halves, right? You have a look at the numbers from the first half compared to the second, when Arsenal, obviously, as Michael said, had the better of the first half. They had more possession. They had those 6 shots. In the second half, they had less shots. 66 possession for Liverpool, and twice as many passes in the final third. What was the reason for Arsenal in that second half, do you feel? Couldn't quite get a grip of the game?
I didn't think, like the closing down initially to get to Liverpool, I didn't think that happened. I think as soon as Liverpool got the ball, kind of dropped off, and just, then Liverpool go across, see if they could pass it through, then they try and win it back then and try to break. I didn't think that was working very well for us. Thought maybe the substitutions could have been a little bit earlier to get a little bit more energy. Would like to have seen Jesus earlier, maybe Noni Madueke a little bit earlier to get a little bit more pace, a little bit more buzz, a little bit more. I thought that came and We saw a little bit with Noni Madueke, but by then, I think that the second half, what we showed was a team that is trying to finish it, and you could feel nerves. I think there was a little bit of nerves. I thought that there was a little bit of like, let's just be careful here. Let's not lose this now. And I think that what we've got to have there, I think the attitude we've got to have is we've got to be, we're going to win this. And then if we don't win it, okay, we'll take that. But we can't be safe. I thought we felt a little bit safe and nervous there.
Do you think Liverpool sensed that in the stadium as longer that second half went on?
A little bit, and they grew in confidence as well. As soon as you start knocking a few balls around, then you start growing into it and thinking, hang on a minute, we can get something here. I think from Arsenal's point of view, they're a very efficient side. They're not going to blow anybody away. They're not like a Manchester City that can beat somebody 5 or 6-0, or a Liverpool, when they were absolutely flying a year or two ago. I think Arsenal are based on a really good goalkeeper, really good defence, efficient midfield. I think it's a very, very solid team that are going to win games 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 maybe. But they don't blast you away with dozens and dozens of chances, but they look so. I mean, it's very, very difficult to beat them. They're so good at the back. They're so solid. They're so well drilled. It's hard to create chances against Arsenal. I think you saw an efficient display from Arsenal, and if they could have nicked a goal, they could have nicked a goal in the last few seconds. I'm sure we'll go on to see that set piece, and that wouldn't have been typical. That would have been unfair to Arsenal to say that. But that's what they're a very efficient team. You never feel as if they're flustered or under pressure. Whereas obviously, the teams that have won the league over the recent years have been, very good attacking team. They might concede. Liverpool concede a lot of goals, even when they're winning leagues and whatever, but they were just a real expansive team, where I think Arsenal are a bit more efficient, and it was important for them not to lose today.
I would say, though, Mike, what with those teams that you mentioned, they've got a striker that can, in those moments, Mick, you know what it's like when the game's tight. You can see you're not going to get many chances like you saw against a Liverpool, and you do need. That's what we thought we bought. And that's what you need, because if we're going to talk about the balls that went across the goal all the way through, when you're paying that kind of money, you want something. They've got to be there, and that's what makes the difference in games like this. Because the first half we created enough for us to get something. It didn't happen because we didn't have someone to take the chance, and we done that And then the second half, you get more and more nervous because of everything what's encapsulating with what Arsenal are trying to do. It's all. Everybody's worried about it, and you can feel it. You can feel them getting deeper and deeper. And we can't do that. We've got to go for it. We've got to make sure we take these chances and finish games off a little bit more comfortably than we are at the minute.
Very defensive. Second half, they just pass the ball well, Liverpool. They pass the ball really well. Their team for this game is tilted towards possession. Midfield players playing as strikers, coming into the midfield. They kept the ball really well. Disappointment goes back to Arsenal that they couldn't hurry Liverpool a little bit more, press them a little bit better, and get back on the front foot. It's like, wow, OK, this is the way it's going to go. And then thinking from Arsenal's point of view, don't do anything stupid, just keep a clean sheet and put it down to not a great day at the office. Liverpool has still got very good midfield players, talked about the midfield kind of challenges from both teams. And Liverpool were better. They didn't create anything. They had no shots on target in the game. But the possession was their way of defending, different to the first half, that it was very deep and allowed Arsenal to have it. I just would have expected Arsenal be a little bit more aggressive to win the ball back and get back on the front foot.
Well, you both had Arsenal to win, and at half-time you both had Arsenal to find a way. You surprised they didn't?
Surprised. I think we're seeing this tactic a little bit, and I credit Slot with it. We're seeing teams now go into first half and basically say, this is our tactic, and if we get to halftime and we're safe, we're 1-0 down or 0-0, then we can turn the dial.
A bit like Aston Villa?
Yeah, we're seeing that throughout the Premier League, and it's seemingly working. So, again, Slot he's a good manager. He knew the tactic today, and like you, I was surprised that at home Arsenal couldn't figure out, like, okay, we're taking your punch here, but we're gonna get back on the front foot. They just were never able to regain that, and that's odd in over the course of 45 minutes for Arsenal.
Go on, you want to say?
No, I just think the second half, I made a note, like, just a little flat. And it's hard to Arsenal make these big occasions, right? The Villa game at home and the fans and the manager revving everybody up and Arsenal flying out the blocks and it being brilliant. It's hard to do that all the time.
Especially, do you think as well, sorry to interrupt you, Musty, that when you're trying to go 8 points clear, it's not like you're trying to go too clear. Like you're so far ahead in one way that maybe sometimes it's difficult to keep revving up when you're just trying to extend that lead.
And might those players think, do we have to go again here to try and force another spectacular victory, another statement win and all that? And they might have been a bit, you know what, this is difficult because Arsenal are moving the ball really well, and it's one of them where they go and close down and get their early on. Just as I think about it right now, Miles Lewis-Skelly, by the way, that was a problem for Arsenal. He's into the game, Nketiah was injured, and where Liverpool's goal might have come from is Frimpong versus Lewis-Skelly. And that's concerning for me. As a young defender, he looked so off the pace and got beat many, many times. That's where the danger was for Arsenal. They got away with it on that side. Other than that, we know they defend strongly. It's just they did look a little flat in the second half, yeah.
In terms of Liverpool, moving forward for the rest of the season, they're not going to have Isak for a long time. Ekitike, we don't know when he's back. How do you think they're going to deal without those front two as we move forward?
Well, yeah, that's a problem. I mean, I think they have two really top front players, and again, this is going to be Slot having to sort of interchange. I think Gakpo is a good stopgap. You know, could we possibly see Mo Salah play as a false nine? He might have to get creative because it's tough having those two out.
I think Ekitike is not far off, is he?
No.
I think it's a hamstring problem. I don't think he's that far away. And Liverpool fans might argue, if we'd have had one of our strikers, we might have won the game today, given the opportunities and some of the balls have flashed into the box. But they didn't create, you know, it didn't look like they were going to score, really, even though they had tons of possession.
Egypt have made the knockout rounds of the African Cup of Nations, so no Mo Salah coming back anytime soon. But could they do with him? We're starting to look like they could do with him.
It looks like they could do with him. There's been very little talk. You know, we thought the Saudi option might be something that we see, given the fallout. That's very quiet. You know, David's not talking about it. David Ornstein's not talking about it. You know, maybe the thought is, with those two strikers out injured, though Ekitike is back soon, that they could kind of use Salah, you know, maybe a reinvigorated Mo Salah on that right-hand side. That being said, Frimpong was pretty good today.
Welcome back, Premier League Live here on the road at the Emirates. 0-0 as you saw, Liverpool without a shot on target, Arsenal 2. It's tight. What's going to unlock this?
Well, it is tight. Not many chances, Steve. Obviously, a crossbar hit from Liverpool's point of view. Most of the pressure, I'd suggest, was from Arsenal, of course. And when I say most of the pressure, a lot of it's come down this right-hand side as well. But from Liverpool's point of view, this is their best chance, their best moment. Actually, they've played the ball out of their back and made some movements like that quite well. It's quite accurate passing. That was quite a rough pass from Conor Bradley, but he makes the most of it, doesn't he? Lovely little touch.
Yeah.
He does all he can. I mean, the goalkeeper nearly get a touch. But that's the closest Liverpool have come. A little bit of a lack of communication, Righty, though.
Without a doubt, I think you can see William Saliba and David Raya doing the hands, just the same talk communication, because it kind of felt like this. Arsenal put a lot of pressure, and Liverpool, it just felt like the way they're getting through our midfield at the minute, some of the times when they're getting up there, just from that right side, it does feel a little bit dangerous, so they need to concentrate, focus.
Yeah, Conor Bradley very close to what would have been just a second career goal in the Premier League. Now, the positivity for Arsenal's come a lot down this right-hand side. In fact, just behind us here, Righty.
Yeah, Saka's causing Kirk's a lot of problems, but I'm more worried about once the ball does get in the box, though, Steve. You know, we're seeing some... The thing what I like with Saka is once he gets into these positions, whether it's Saka, Timber, whoever it is, you want to see more movement in the middle of the box, because we've seen balls coming across the box where they've done their work. Saka's done the work here, he's got in there, and you look, there's nothing, there's no movement in there. Look where Saka is, look, there's not enough movement. You've got to realise he's gone past him. Can I come back out? And I'm talking about Gyökeres in this position. As a centre forward, he's got to be able to see that I want to be in the middle of the goal when this comes back. I want to be in and around it. And that's just not happened enough. Because I think we've created enough going down the right-hand side, Steve. With the balls just coming, I saw Declan put one in as well. We need people in the box arriving on those. Anticipating movement, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I find as well, Kirkes is that nervous about Saka. He's almost going out to mark him, and he's leaving that inside channel a lot of the time. That should be the lesser effect, is to go out to Saka, let that ball go out and then close. You can't go and mark Saka and let that ball go in the inside channel behind you. And Kirkes' position is causing Liverpool a lot of problems a lot of the time.
We had a long conversation about Gyökeres before the game. When Declan Rice, just behind us here, whips that ball in, you noticed he was very flat-footed.
He was flat-footed because there's not a lot of movement from him. If you watch where he is there, you can see him. He's just pacing. There's nothing there. It's like, that's not enough. You've got to do something. While Declan's on the ball, now you've got to be doing something to make Konate move. Konate's not moved once. He doesn't have to. And that's what's got to happen. The ball just came into the box earlier on with one of the clips. and the defenders, he's had to lower himself down to head it out. Where's the forward? Where's the forward in there?
Yeah, let's get it right. Gyökeres has been signed for that moment. He's not Thierry Henry. He don't pick the ball up on the left wing and dribble past. He is a penalty box player that needs to be getting on the end of those crosses. That's why he's here.
Touched the ball just 7 times in that first half. Now, Frimpong went down in that first half at this end of the pitch.
Yeah.
We've had a good look at it.
Yeah.
Right decision?
We've had a good look at it. It only takes one look, I think. Listen, there might be a little bit of contact, but I don't think that justifies a penalty at all. Of course, VAR had a good look at it, but and the game played on. I think there was a little bit of a skirmish, let's say, because maybe Liverpool thought a ball should have been knocked out of play. I don't. If it's not a head injury, you play on. You let the referee ref the game.
This angle here, Mike. This is the one where, look, there, watch.
If there's a little touch,
you're giving penalties for that, you know. I know it's Arsenal. People say, you would say that, but you can't be giving penalties for it.
What do you think for the second half here, Wright?
Well, you know what? I'd like us to start the same. Obviously, you know, I think we've done enough in the first half with the right movement to get a couple more good attempts on goal. We need to do exactly what we're doing. I thought we started as fast as I wanted us to start, but then, you know, we need people in there. We need people in the box to finish off these chances.
Points clear at the top, taking on the defending champions Liverpool, but nothing so far. It's been similar to the game at Anfield, quite cagey, quite tight. Daniel, talk us through Liverpool's plan.
I think they pretty much are going man for man. You see the movements of Timber pushing Gakpo back. The wingers are, of course, being very honest, but communication's got to be right. You rarely see Liverpool in a bank of 5-6, but that's where we are today tactically, where it's a man-for-man game. They've got a box in the midfield, and they're frustrating Arsenal, of course. They've executed the game plan perfectly in the first half. They've had moments that they've threatened, but that's how they're setting up.
And from that base, they are able to break out, as we've seen a couple of times. This to the greatest effect. What was it, 23 passes in the build-up here?
Yeah, obviously they were biding their time. They took them a few minutes, 10-15 minutes to get into the game, but this was great effort. Absolutely brilliant effort. A very good player from Liverpool, biding their time, 23 passes, and then you got people running ahead of the ball. Perfect. It would have been a fantastic goal. As you said, 23 passes, you need forward runners. The pass initially is not great. Again, poor from Arsenal. When it comes back with some great first touch, give them the chance, and I wouldn't be too critical. Great effort. It would have been a great goal if it had gone in.
What a moment that was for Conor Bradley. So close. A bit of a, you're not used to seeing too many moments of confusion in this Arsenal back line. Yes, there was one from Gabriel, wasn't there, the other day? And that almost cost them again here. But is this the right way for Liverpool to go about it? Do you think this is the way forward for them in the second half, Daniel?
Yeah, I think the manager will be happy. Clearly, that's the game plan for the team. They've got players who can come on off the bench and create problems. For me, the final pass hasn't been great for Liverpool when they have had moments, but the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, Arsenal dominated and they were very, very good in moments. They just also couldn't find the final pass.
They have had their moments, but it's been...
In moments in the game, especially with injuries, I've been someone who's had injuries and it's never a nice feeling. I can see maybe he's thinking, oh, time wasting, but brother, you got to be self-aware enough to know, like, okay, cool, the guy's down. Like, you've been there before. And it's just disrespectful, probably even worse than disrespectful, to be honest with you. It's just disappointing to see.
Know your players as well. Know your players. You know what's under reaction. You could tell he's obviously injured.
In the sense that it wouldn't be something that Conor Bradley would do lightly?
Obviously not. I don't think he's the type of kid to do that. And if you're standing over, you don't know the injury the player's got. Again, it looks pretty bad. You're trying to push him off the pitch. Not good stuff, that.